Welcome back to another Telltale Books video in the complete works of J.G. Ballard. Complete fiction at any rate. This time we are talking about Manhole 69. This is the sixth story on my list of J.G. Ballard, published in November of 1957. And appeared in New Worlds magazine, the 65th issue of New Worlds magazine. And places you can find the story are Ballard's collection Chronopolis and Other Stories, which was published way back in 1971. It's an excellent collection. You can almost think of it like a best of J.G. Ballard, at least as far as his early short stories. And I also have it, of course, in Ballard's volume of the complete short stories, which came out in 2001. Manhole 69 is kind of a different science fiction story from what you would be used to. Basic story is you got couple of experimental scientists, neurosurgeons, and they have three men who volunteer to undergo surgery which, if I'm remembering right, separates the medulla oblongata from the rest of the brain in order to keep them from needing sleep. So now they never will sleep again. And after the surgery, the three men are kept in a room and they're kept under constant observation. There's people that rotate all the time through, watching them and making sure nothing is going wrong with their behavior or memory or function or anything like that. Until one night, one of the doctors just wants to step out for a short time to take care of something. And so he goes into a different room. And something happens. Now, I'm not going to spoil it from there. What I will say, which is a little bit of a spoiler if you've read it, is that there's a reference in this short story to a short story by Anton Chekhov, which I after reading this, went and found a copy and read it and did a quick review of that story. And sure enough, I found out after I shot the video that, yes, I did read an abridged version of that short story. But it hit all the essential points. It at least let me see how it relates to Manhole 69. And so that short story is The Bet, which was published in 1889. And of course, it's about, if you've watched my other video, you already know this, but The Bet is about a guy that bets another guy he can't stay in solitary confinement for a period of 15 years, that he would not be able to take it and he would voluntarily step out of the room before the time is up and lose the bet. But if he stays in the whole time, he gets $2 million or whatever the Russian equivalent of that. So Manhole 69 is different in that it's more scientific. It's not your usual science fiction story. No robots, no aliens, no time travel. Okay, none of your typical science fiction tropes. This story, and it's kind of typical of the 1950s, that authors were looking to the soft sciences, the social sciences. This story is more about psychology as a science, and analyzes a point of psychology of this situation. Of the two stories, I think the even though I read an abridged version, I think the Chekhov story is the stronger of the two. I'm a little bit disappointed in the Ballard story. I think he doesn't make a very strong case for what happens to the three men. It seems like it just suddenly happens and there's no real reason for it. I don't buy that there would be a scientific basis for the way that events progressed in the story. I could buy it over a longer period of time, but not the way Ballard does it. But Ballard's story is a little bit surreal feeling. It isn't really surrealistic, but it has a surreal feel to it, which is typical Ballard. So it's a good story. It's an enjoyable story. Just, I think it's the weakest one yet that I've read by Ballard. Gotta unfortunately say that. So, that's really all I can say about Manhole 69. Our next J.G. Ballard story is called Track 12. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that review, and maybe even read it before I put the review up. Should be pretty easy to track down. I know, really bad. But even if you don't read that story, come back and join us and watch more and like and subscribe us. Go over to our Patreon. Subscribe to our Patreon page. We've got a Patreon page up. We'd really like your help to keep things rolling with Telltale and moving forward towards our ultimate goal. And I'll see you in the next video.